All right, so first things first here. I don't really need this while I'm sitting here. First things first, I want to make a couple of notes about writing files to a disk. The way I'm going to show you to do it, number one, only happens at the end of the program. You could change that. You could have the program call the method at other times, but at first, it's only going to happen at the end of the program. When you open the file to write to it, it's $20. So when you open the file to write to it, it's going to erase that entire file. It's going to just like clear it out and start fresh and new. So we're going to have to write the entire array every time. I would say that's maybe not the best data management strategy that you could possibly come up with on a computer, because you're kind of taking a risk in between opening the file and finishing writing all of the data that you lose half your contact list if something crashed, right? So a little bit risky strategy, but this is really just an intro course. You guys would learn how to use databases and stuff like that, which would be far less risky in future computer science courses. This is just a little bit about, okay, you know what, like we can store data permanently on a disk. Here's a simple, basic introductory way to do it. That said, it's probably a good idea to make a backup of your data file as you're working and testing your program, because crashes are going to happen. And, you know, the first time you run it and it doesn't exactly work perfectly, it just erased all the data, all the practice data that you had built up for your program. Oops. Just make yourself a backup copy of that so that when it goes wrong, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so yesterday we were working on reading the file, and we used the file lockers list to pull the information in. And we set the file up so that it's in a very specific order. I got the locker number, I got the name, I got the student number, I got the combination, I got the grade, I got the serial number, and I got the floor. I need to remember that so that I can save it back in that order. In fact, I'm just going to take one of them and copy it so that I kind of remember exactly what I want to create. When I go to save this, okay, just put that there for a second. When I go to save this, there is an object called a PrintWriter. PrintWriter. And I just call it out for now. That's an object that's built for writing text files to disk. That's its entire job. So I'm going to make a out as a new PrintWriter. And I'm going to base it off of new file, lockerlist.txt. So very similar to opening the file for reading. I can open the file for writing. Same sort of idea. Except instead of using a scanner to read it with, I'm going to use a PrintWriter to write it with. Now, PrintWriter will throw an exception, same as the scanner would. If the file it doesn't exist, you'll have an error. So we're going to surround that with a try and catch. I'm just going to leave it as, okay, print the error out if there was an error opening the file. I mean, if you were a little more creative with the way that you wrote this, you could imagine going, okay, I want to open this file called lockerlist.txt. To write everything to. Oh, I got a file doesn't exist error. All right, create the file lockerlist.txt for me, and then I'm going to write to it. So open it with my PrintWriter. If you get a little bit more creative with that, you can handle that error possibly even more gracefully than just printing the crash. But I'm not going to do that right now. Once I get it open, there's basically 3 steps in this algorithm, right? Open the file. To write out the list to. write all the locker data, and then just close the file up. Well, closing the file is easy. I just have to go out.close. I'll make sure it saves. Operating system sort of trims off the end and goes up. Everything's done with this file. Okay. But what about writing the locker data? That's why I saved this, to remember what order to print it out in. And pretty straightforward to write data into the file. So if I want to write the locker number for a particular locker, I'll go out.println. And if you were in my class last year, we did a lot of system.out.println for printing stuff on the console. It's all exactly the same, except there's no system in front of it now because we're not writing to the console, the system out anymore. We're writing to the file that we just opened with the name out. Everything else works exactly the same. So I want to print into the file locker, for now I'm just going to say locker 0. And, oh, I got to get the locker number. That's not the name of my array. It's lockers. Locker 0 dot get locker number. And then I want to print the name. Get student name. And then I need the student number. And then I need the combination. And I need the grade. And I need the serial number and the floor. All that data comes from my locker object. Get serial number, get floor. Right, by doing each one as println, I'm ensuring I'm printing that information on a single line in the file, exactly the way I want it to appear in my file. If I left it like that, all I would save would be the first element of the array, lockers 0. Not exactly what I want to do. I want to save all the elements of the array. So really, I just need to take this stuff and put it into a loop that counts through every locker for which we have data. I don't want to count the entire array because like the back half of it could still be empty. So I need to just count through every locker for which there is data. So for integer I, starting at 0, I is less than my variable that says how many lockers there is total used lockers. And I'm doing I++. I don't want to store locker 0 every time. I want to store locker I every time. And that's all there is to writing out the output file. Just open the file, whole bunch of print statements into the file, close it when you're done. Just wanted to make a note. What method did I put this in? Public void stop. That's called by JavaFX when the program closes. Make sense? There's the method start that JavaFX calls when the program begins running. And there's the method stop that JavaFX calls when the program ends running. So if I ran this, program will open, it opens up the locker list and reads the 2 lockers that are in the list. They're in the save file right now. I have O and I have Jesse. If I say make a new locker, get my screen to make a new locker with locker number, I don't know, 5, student name, Frank, student number, I'll just give him a number, student grade, 4, locker combination, ABC, because people in grade 4 don't remember numbers well. And lock serial number, I don't know, D12, whatever it is. Sign that locker. Frank just got added to the list. All right, I still got Jesse, still got O. When I shut the program down by closing it, right now my locker list only has 2 people in it, because that's the 2 that were there when it started. When I shut the program down, my writer should have opened up my locker list. I don't know if I just have to refresh that screen. There we go. Just refresh my screen, and I get Frank, who's in locker 5 with that student number. ABC was his combination. He's in grade 4. Serial number was D12. That locker's on floor number 1. So it added Frank to the list, but it really wrote all of the lockers that were in the array. When I added one, it added one to the list. If I was to delete, of course, that would not appear in here anymore. So I'm just redoing the whole thing. I think if it was me, something you might want to do with your contact list. Okay, stop is called by JavaFX when the program closes. But right now, the only thing stop does is actually save the whole list. I might even think about it and go, okay, I got this method that adds new locker. Show locker, da, 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 da. Oh, delete a locker. After I finish deleting a locker, I might just call stop and save the list right there. Maybe put a little bit more data integrity in place, right? Because then as soon as I made a change to the list, I could resave it. And maybe I'd do it when I added a new locker too. Just every time I add a person, it saves the list. That way, should the program crash, at least I don't lose as much, right? You can think about where it might be valuable to put that stuff. And that's it for saving files. And stop.